The massive warship materialized without warning in the disputed Keras sector. One moment, empty space stretched between the twin nebulae. The next, a sleek metal giant hung against the colorful backdrop. Its dark hull absorbed starlight rather than reflected it, making the ship look like a void cut into space itself. Only the occasional gleam along its sharp edges revealed its solid nature. 3 major galactic powers immediately detected the anomaly. The ship appeared directly in the center of the Keras sector, a region claimed by humans, reptilians, and crystalline beings alike. Border sensors picked up energy readings that defied analysis, technology far beyond current capabilities. At Coalition Outpost 7, alarms blared through the corridors. Captain Hannah Park rushed to the command center, her uniform jacket half-buttoned. She had been resting after a long diplomatic session with Arcadian representatives when the call came. "Report," she ordered, taking her position at the central console. The view screen showed a distant object, magnification struggling to provide detail through the interference surrounding the vessel. "Unknown spacecraft appeared 20 minutes ago," said Officer Sung, his fingers moving rapidly across his console. Size estimates put it at 3 kilometers long. Energy readings are off the charts. Hannah studied the readings herself. "Have we contacted Central Command?" "Yes, Captain. They've ordered us to investigate immediately." Hannah nodded. As the senior diplomat in the sector, first contact protocols fell to her. "Prepare the Peacemaker for launch. I want a small team. Science, communications, and security." Within 30 minutes, the diplomatic vessel Peacemaker detached from the outpost. Lieutenant Kim, the science officer, sat beside Hannah in the cockpit. Security Officer Jun checked weapons systems, defensive only, as required by diplomatic protocols. Communications Officer Lee monitored channels, listening for any transmissions from the mysterious ship. "Approaching 10,000 kilometers," Kim reported. Her dark eyes stayed fixed on her scanner readings. "The energy field surrounding the vessel is unlike anything I've seen before. It's disrupting our sensors." "Can we get visual confirmation of any markings?" Hannah asked. Kim adjusted the forward cameras, zooming in on the hull. "There's something there." The view screen showed blurry symbols along the ship's side. Kim enhanced the image, revealing characters that made Hannah's heart skip. "Those are human symbols," she said. "Old Earth script, but definitely human." "But Captain," Kim said softly, "the design is nothing like our ships. And the technology readings, this is centuries beyond our capabilities." Hannah studied the warship more carefully. Its lines were sleek but aggressive, clearly built for battle. The size alone made it a capital ship, something that could stand against an entire fleet. "Continue approach," she ordered. "Let's try to establish communication." Lee sent standard greeting messages on all frequencies, coalition protocols, then universal mathematical sequences, then simple binary code. Nothing came back. As they drew closer, more details became visible. The ship bore scars of battle, sections of hull patched or damaged. And there was something else, something that made Kim gasp. "Captain, I'm detecting temporal distortions surrounding the hull. The space-time fabric around the ship is folded somehow." "Meaning?" "It might have traveled through time," Kim said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jun looked up from his console. "A time machine. That's impossible. So it was faster than light travel before we achieved it," Hannah reminded him. "Let's keep an open mind." The Peacemaker continued its careful approach, now just 3,000 kilometers from the mysterious vessel. Hannah ordered another attempt at communication. Suddenly, lights appeared along the warship's hull. What they had thought were weapon ports began to glow with blue energy. "Captain, the ship is powering up," Jun shouted. Energy signatures matching weapon systems. "Defensive posture only," Hannah ordered. "No threatening moves." The mysterious ship's response came instantly. A targeting beam locked onto the Peacemaker, bathing it in pale light. Then a voice came through their communication system, artificial, emotionless. "Proximity alert. Defense protocols activated. Identify or withdraw. Lee scrambled to respond. This is the Coalition vessel Peacemaker on a diplomatic mission. We seek peaceful contact. The targeting beam intensified. Multiple weapons ports now tracked their small vessel. Unknown Coalition classification, temporal variance detected. Withdraw to safe distance. Hannah didn't hesitate. Full reverse now. The Peacemaker pulled away as energy built up in the mysterious ship's weapons. The targeting beam remained fixed on them until they passed 5,000 kilometers. It recognized Coalition, but called it unknown. Lee noted as they retreated. And it mentioned temporal variance. Supporting the time travel theory, Kim said. They returned to Outpost 7 at maximum speed. When they docked, they found the station at highest alert level. Commander Day met them at the airlock. Captain Park, the situation has escalated, he said grimly. All three powers have mobilized fleets toward the Karis sector. In the command center, they watched long-range scanners showing the movement of ships. The Arcadian Empire had dispatched 3 battle groups. The Suvani Dominion had activated their crystalline dreadnoughts, and the Coalition was sending reinforcements as well. They all want the ship, Hannah realized aloud. Its technology could shift the balance of power, Commander Day confirmed. Central Command wants your full report immediately. Hannah compiled everything they had learned. The human symbols, the advanced technology, the temporal readings. As she prepared to transmit, Officer Lee approached her station. Captain, we're receiving transmissions from multiple sources. The Arcadians are claiming salvage rights. The Suvani are demanding the ship withdraw from what they call their sovereign territory. And the Coalition. They want us to secure the vessel before anyone else can reach it. Hannah looked at the image of the mysterious warship on the main screen. Its appearance had transformed a disputed but peaceful sector into a potential flashpoint for interstellar war. Whatever this ship is, she said quietly, everyone wants it. And that makes it the most dangerous object in the galaxy right now. As if hearing her words, the mysterious vessel began to move for the first time, its massive engines glowing with strange energy as it adjusted its position. It was no longer drifting. It was watching. Waiting, and 3 battle fleets were racing toward it. Hannah sat alone in her office, studying the high-resolution scans of the mysterious warship. The station's advanced imaging systems had captured detailed views of the hull during their retreat. 3 days had passed since their encounter, and the tension in the sector had only grown worse. Fleet movements continued as all 3 powers positioned for possible conflict. She zoomed in on a section of the hull that had caught her attention. The symbols there were definitely human in origin, but of a style she hadn't seen before. Ancient, yet somehow also advanced. She cross-referenced them with the linguistic database. Computer, analyzed these markings against historical human scripts. The computer processed for several moments. Partial match found. Symbols contain elements of 22nd century Earth military code, but with unknown modifications. Hannah leaned forward. Military code. An idea formed in her mind. If the ship used modified military protocols, perhaps it would respond to similarly structured communications. She worked through the night, crafting a message based on the ancient code structure, but updated with modern authentication patterns. When morning came, she presented her findings to Commander Da. I believe I can establish basic communication with the vessel, she explained. But I need to get closer again. Commander Day frowned. The situation has deteriorated. The Arcadian fleet will arrive in 18 hours, the Suvani not long after. All the more reason to try now, while we still can. The commander reluctantly approved her mission. This time, the Peacemaker approached on a different vector, broadcasting Hannah's carefully crafted message. As they neared the 5,000-kilometer mark where they'd been warned off before, everyone tensed. The targeting beams didn't activate. Instead, a new signal emerged from the ship. Receiving response, Officer Lee announced. It's accepting our communication protocol. A mechanical voice filled the bridge. Coalition authentication patterns recognized. Temporal variance confirmed. Identify purpose. Hana took a deep breath. This is Captain Hana Park of the Coalition Diplomatic Corps. We seek peaceful contact and offer assistance. A pause followed. Then, this vessel is the THS Defiance. Temporal displacement detected. Current date does not match departure coordinates. Kim looked up from her console. THS. That's not a current designation. What does it stand for? Hana asked the voice. Terran human ship. Military class. The crew exchanged glances. Earth was now called Terra in official documents, but the term Terran human hadn't been used in centuries. What is your current date? Hana asked. Ship chronometers indicate year 2457. Kim gasped. That's over 300 years in the future. Hana maintained her composure. We show the current year as 2138. Can you confirm your temporal displacement? Confirmed. Emergency temporal jump executed. Current location and date vary from intended coordinates. Hana saw her opportunity. Your ship appears damaged. We offer assistance and safe harbor. Another long pause followed. Then the voice said, limited access granted. Approach docking bay 3. Maximum 4 personnel. The peacemaker cautiously approached the massive ship. A bay door larger than their entire vessel slowly opened, revealing a cavernous interior. They docked inside, the magnetic clamps securing their small craft to the floor. Hana selected her team carefully. Kim for scientific analysis, Jun for security, and a medical officer named Dr. Jin. They wore environmental suits as a precaution. The ship's interior was dimly lit, emergency lighting casting long shadows. The air was breathable but cold. As they moved deeper into the vessel, they encountered the ship's physical interface, a holographic projection of a human figure. I am the Defiance's artificial intelligence system, it stated. You may call me Guardian. Most crew members remain in emergency cryostasis, ship systems operating at 47% capacity. What happened to your ship? Hana asked. Battle damage sustained during engagement with Void Harbinger forces. Temporal jump executed as last resort. Guardian led them through corridors of technology beyond their understanding. They passed sealed chambers containing sleeping crew members, hundreds of them, frozen in time. Our commander is partially awake, Guardian explained. Medical protocols initiated revival when your vessel was detected. The medical bay was more advanced than anything Dr. Jin had ever seen. On a treatment bed lay a man in his 50s, his body connected to various monitoring systems. Despite his weakened state, his presence commanded authority. Admiral Taiho, Guardian announced. Ship commander. The Admiral's eyes fluttered open. They were sharp despite his physical weakness. He studied the 4 visitors carefully. 2138, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. So far back. Hana stepped forward. Admiral, I'm Captain Park. We're here to help. He gestured weakly for her to come closer. When she did, he grasped her arm with surprising strength. We fled, he whispered, his eyes intense. The Void Harbingers were consuming everything. We had no choice but to attempt the temporal jump. Void Harbingers? Hana asked. They come from beyond the galaxy. Destroy everything. His grip tightened. They'll come here too. Eventually. Dr. Jin moved forward. Admiral, you need rest. Your body is still adjusting to the revival process. But Taiho wouldn't let go of Hana. Listen to me. The Defiance is the last hope. We carried the plans, the technology, to warn the past, to prepare. His eyes closed as exhaustion overtook him. Dr. Jin checked his vitals. He's stable, just sleeping now. The temporal displacement seems to have affected his cellular structure. It's remarkable he's alive at all. While Dr. Jin monitored the Admiral, Kim received permission from Guardian to examine some of the ship's systems. What she discovered left her speechless. Captain, this ship has technology we've only theorized about. The shielding alone could withstand direct hits from our most powerful weapons without even registering damage. And the weapons systems, they could destroy entire planets. June examined the ship's navigation systems. The FTL drive uses principles we haven't even discovered yet. At full capacity, this ship could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. As they returned to Outpost 7, Hannah knew this information would change everything. Sure enough, within hours of their report to Coalition Command, encrypted orders arrived. The Defiance was to be secured at all costs. But the Coalition wasn't the only power to reach this conclusion. The Arcadian fleet accelerated its approach. The Suvani sent additional dreadnoughts. News of the ship's capabilities, exaggerated with each telling, spread throughout the galaxy. Every species wants control of the Defiance now, Commander Day said during an emergency meeting, and they'll go to war to get it. Hannah looked at the image of the massive warship on the view screen. Then we need to make contact with Admiral Taiho again. Because if what he says is true, this isn't just about a powerful ship. It's about a threat none of us are prepared for. Outside the station, the first Arcadian warships entered the system, their weapons primed. The Defiance remained silent, its presence alone changing the fate of the galaxy with each passing hour. Admiral Taiho sat upright in his medical bed aboard the Defiance. His strength returned slowly but steadily over the past week. The medical systems of the future warship worked miracles on his body, repairing cellular damage from the temporal jump. Captain Hannah Park sat across from him, recording their conversation as he revealed the truth about humanity's future. The Void Harbingers don't simply conquer, they consume, Admiral Taiho explained, his voice now stronger than before. They strip worlds of resources, assimilate technology, and leave nothing behind. Hannah tried to imagine such an enemy. Are they organic beings? Partly. They began as biological entities, but merged with machines over thousands of years. They exist now as a collective consciousness spread across millions of drone bodies. Each world they take makes them stronger. He activated a small projector beside his bed. Images appeared in the air between them, planets being systematically dismantled by swarms of dark ships, their surfaces peeled away layer by layer. This was New Terra, once our most prosperous colony, he said. 3 billion people lived there. The Harbingers took it in 6 days. Hannah watched in horror as the recording showed the beautiful blue-green world transformed into a barren husk. How do they spread? They send advanced scouts first, small probes that hide and observe. Then come their harvesters to gather resources and establish forward bases. By the time anyone sees their main fleet, it's too late. Hannah sent all the information to Coalition Command. The response came quickly. They wanted to keep the Admiral's warnings classified while they verify his claims. But Hannah argued successfully that all 3 major powers needed this information. If the threat is real, we need everyone prepared, she insisted. Meanwhile, Coalition intelligence began investigating strange anomalies reported at the galaxy's outer rim. Unexplained power signatures, missing scout ships, and dead communication relays, all matching Admiral Taiho's descriptions of early Harbinger infiltration tactics. The Coalition called an emergency summit at Outpost 7. Representatives from all 3 powers arrived. Humans from the Coalition, the reptilian Arcadians with their scaled faces and vertical pupils, and the crystalline Suvani, whose bodies refracted light in beautiful patterns. The meeting room crackled with tension. Ambassador Kron of the Arcadian Empire spoke first, his tail twitching with agitation. "We demand full access to the Defiance and its technology," he hissed. "The balance of power has been disrupted by its arrival." The Suvani representative, Delegate Lumi, chimed in with a musical voice. The vessel appeared in territory claimed by the Dominion. By right, it belongs to us. Coalition Admiral 1 remained calm. The ship is of human design. It represents our future technology. We have primary claim. Hannah watched the arguments spiral into threats. She requested permission to speak and approached the central table. While we argue, a threat greater than any of us have known approaches, she said. Admiral Taiho's warnings have been partially confirmed by unusual activity at the galaxy's edge. She displayed the intelligence reports on the main screen. The representatives fell silent as they studied the evidence. These patterns match known Harbinger tactics, Hana continued. The Defiance wasn't sent back just to warn us. It carries the technology we need to fight them. Ambassador Kron's tongue flicked out. Convenient that this human ship brings tales of doom that only humans can solve. We must unite against the common threat, Hana argued. History shows divided we will fall. That's exactly what happened in Admiral Taiho's timeline. Delegate Lumi's crystalline form shifted colors. The Dominion has never aligned with the Warm Bloods before. Why start now based on an unproven threat? The debate continued for days. Outside the station, the three fleets grew larger as more ships arrived. The Defiance remained silent in its position, guarded by a small coalition force. Admiral Taiho, now able to walk with assistance, attended the final day of negotiations. His presence silenced the room. I watched the Void Harbingers destroy everything I ever loved, he said simply. I watched them consume Earth itself. We developed the technology on the Defiance too late to save our timeline. But you have a chance. Ambassador Kron remained skeptical. Words are easy. Proof is harder. What would convince you? Admiral Taiho asked. Access to the ship's weapons systems, Kron replied immediately, to verify your claims of their power. Admiral 1 objected. Impossible. The weapons are too dangerous. I accept, Admiral Taiho interrupted. A demonstration only. No transfer of technology. The agreement was made. Representatives from all three powers would observe a controlled demonstration of the Defiance's capabilities against an uninhabited moon in a nearby system. But the Arcadian Empire had other plans. The night before the scheduled demonstration, long-range sensors detected unusual movement in the Arcadian fleet. Hana was awakened by an emergency alert. The Arcadians are powering weapons, Officer Lee reported as she rushed into the command center. They'd formed an attack pattern. Admiral 1 ordered immediate diplomatic contact. Ambassador Kron, explain your fleet's movements. The ambassador's face appeared on screen, his expression cold. The Empire has decided to claim what technology we can, while we can. Without further warning, 30 Arcadian warships broke formation and accelerated toward the Defiance. Their weapons fired, energy torpedoes streaking across space. They're really attacking, Hana whispered in disbelief. On the view screen, the Defiance remained motionless as the attack approached. Then, seconds before impact, a shimmering field surrounded the future warship. The torpedoes hit this barrier and simply vanished, their energy absorbed completely. Admiral Taiho watched from the station, his face grim. Guardian will defend the ship automatically. The Defiance's response came without hesitation. Pinpoints of light appeared along its hull. What happened next stunned everyone watching. Precise beams of energy reached out from the Defiance, each striking the single Arcadian ship. No explosions, no fire. The targeted vessels simply stopped functioning, their power cores shut down instantly by technology centuries beyond their own. 15 Arcadian ships drifted powerless in space within seconds. A second barrage struck the remaining attacking vessels. These beams cut through shields and armor like they didn't exist, slicing 5 more ships in half. Ambassador Kron watched in horror as half his fleet was neutralized in less than a minute, without the Defiance even moving from its position. Stop the attack, he ordered desperately. All ships withdraw. The surviving Arcadian vessels retreated in disarray. On the station, silence fell over the observers. What they had just witnessed wasn't just superior technology. It was like watching primitive spears thrown against modern tanks. Delegate Lumi's crystalline form had paled to almost white. Such power. Admiral 1 turned to Admiral Taiho. You could have destroyed them all. The Defiance's AI is programmed for minimum necessary force, Taiho replied. unlike the Harbingers, who leave nothing alive. Hannah looked around the room at the representatives of the three most powerful forces in the galaxy, now united in stunned silence. "Now do you understand?" she asked quietly. "This is what humanity will build in 300 years. Imagine what the Harbingers must be like if this ship fled from them." The demonstration of the Defiance's power changed everything. The balance of the galaxy had shifted in minutes, and for the first time, the three great powers began to seriously consider something they had never done before: working together. The attack by the Arcadian fleet and the Defiance's effortless response changed everything. The next morning, Ambassador Kron requested an emergency meeting. His scales had dulled with stress, and his usual arrogance was gone. "The Empire wishes to reconsider its position," he said, avoiding eye contact with the other representatives. Hannah seized the opportunity. "I propose an emergency summit. Not just the three major powers, but all spacefaring species in the sector. The threat we face affects everyone." Commander Dai provided the station's largest chamber for the summit. Within 2 days, representatives from 17 different species gathered. The room buzzed with nervous energy as beings who rarely met in peace sat together. Hannah stood at the central podium, looking at the diverse assembly: reptilians, crystalline entities, insectoids, gaseous beings contained in special suits, and fellow humans. "Thank you for coming on such short notice," she began. "What I'm about to share will challenge everything we believe about our place in the galaxy." She stepped aside for Admiral Tahoe. Despite still recovering, he stood tall in his future uniform. The crowd murmured as they noted the advanced materials and technology incorporated into his clothing. "I come from a time when this gathering would be impossible," he said, his voice strong, "because most of you no longer existed." He activated a holographic display showing historical records from his timeline. The images were brutal. Entire worlds reduced to barren rock, fleets of ships being torn apart, and civilizations falling one by one. "The Harbingers exploited our conflicts," he continued. "We fought each other while they consumed the outer worlds. By the time we realized the true threat, it was too late." The record showed coalition worlds falling, then Arcadian territories, then the Suveni systems. No species was spared. Each time a civilization fell, the Harbingers grew stronger, incorporating new technologies and resources. They are not conquerors who seek to rule. They are consumers who leave nothing behind. An insectoid representative clicked mandibles nervously. "Why should we believe these records? They could be fabricated." Admiral Tahoe nodded. "A fair question. That's why I've authorized access to the Defiance's sensor logs of current activity at the galaxy's edge." The display shifted to real-time data collected by the future warship's advanced sensors. It showed anomalies that current technology couldn't detect. Strange energy signatures moving through uninhabited systems. Distortions in space that matched the Admiral's descriptions of Harbinger scout ships. "They're already here," gasped a small, furry representative from the outer colonies. "These readings match unexplained disappearances in our sector." Delegate Lumi's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "If these beings are as powerful as you claim, what hope do we have, even united?" Hannah stepped forward again. "The Defiance carries more than warnings. It brings solutions, technology that can be adapted to existing ships, defensive systems that can protect worlds. And you expect us to believe humans will share this freely?" Ambassador Kron asked skeptically. Hannah looked him directly in the eyes. "Yes, because we understand now what Admiral Tahoe's people learned too late. That survival isn't about who controls the most territory or who has the strongest fleet. It's about whether life itself continues in our galaxy." The chamber fell silent. Hannah continued, her voice rising with passion. "Our species have different histories, different biologies, different values, but we share one galaxy and one future, either together or not at all." The discussions lasted for days. Ancient enemies sat side by side, forced to consider cooperation. Treaties were drafted. Resources were pledged. Space that had been disputed for centuries was now designated for joint defense systems. Admiral Taiho worked with coalition engineers to begin the process of adapting the Defiance's technology. Scientists from multiple races joined the effort, each bringing unique perspectives. Suvani crystalline technology proved surprisingly compatible with the Defiance's power systems. Arcadian weapon designs could be enhanced with future targeting algorithms. Even the smallest species contributed. The gaseous Mira designed atmospheric shields that could protect planetary populations. Commander Day found Hannah in the observation lounge late one night, watching the ships working together around the Defiance. Engineers from 5 different species were installing components on a coalition cruiser, testing new defensive systems. "I never thought I'd see this," Day said, joining her at the window. The Arcadians sharing technology with the Suvani. Hannah smiled. Fear is a powerful motivator. But so is hope. "Coalition Command has approved your promotion," Day told her. "They're creating a new position, Alliance Coordinator. If you accept, you'll be responsible for maintaining this coalition you've built." Before Hannah could respond, Officer Lee's voice came through the station's communication system. "Captain Park to Command Center. Emergency." They rushed to the bridge. The main screen showed a distant sector near the galactic rim. Multiple signals were moving toward inhabited space. "Confirmed Harbinger signatures," reported Lieutenant Kim. "The Defiance's AI identified them. Scout ships, just as Admiral Taiho predicted." Hannah looked at the gathering representatives who had joined them. "How ready are we?" "The first squadron has been upgraded," said an Arcadian engineer. 12 ships with enhanced shields and weapons, not fully integrated with Defiance technology, but significantly improved. "The Suvani dreadnoughts have received the defensive modifications," added Delegate Lumi. "They can withstand the energy weapons the Harbingers use." Admiral Taiho entered the command center, reviewing the data. "They're moving faster than in my timeline. Our arrival may have accelerated their plans. Or maybe they detected the Defiance," suggested Commander Da. Admiral Taiho nodded grimly. "Either way, we need to intercept them before they establish a forward base. Once they build momentum, they become much harder to stop." The newly formed Alliance Council met in emergency session. The decision was unanimous. They would launch immediately with available forces rather than wait for the full fleet to be upgraded. Hannah watched from the station as ships from 17 species formed up around the Defiance. The massive future warship dwarfed even the largest dreadnoughts, its hull gleaming as power systems activated fully for the first time since its arrival. "The Defiance is requesting that you join the command staff, Captain Park," Commander Day said, handing her a communication device. "Admiral Taiho wants you on the bridge." Hannah hesitated. "I'm a diplomat, not a military officer." "This mission needs both," Day replied. "You built this alliance. Now you need to help hold it together in its first trial by fire." As Hannah boarded the shuttle to the Defiance, she reflected on how much had changed. Just weeks ago, humanity was considered a minor power among the galactic species, respected for their adaptability, but not their strength or technology. Now, the human-designed Defiance led the greatest combined fleet in galactic history. Representatives from ancient enemy species stood together on its bridge, united by a common threat. The Defiance's engines glowed with strange energy as it moved to the head of the formation. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, bound for the galaxy's edge to meet humanity's future enemy. Humanity, once just one species among many, now stood at the center of everything. Their future technology, future knowledge, and Hannah's diplomatic skills had forged something unprecedented. A true alliance of all sentient beings against the coming storm. The Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of a remote system. Behind it, ships from 17 different species emerged into normal space. The fleet spread out in the formation Admiral Taiho had designed. Layered defenses with faster ships on the outer rim and heavy cruisers protecting the core. "Harbinger vessels detected," reported Lieutenant Kim from her station on the Defiance's bridge. 3 scout ships and 1 harvester class. They're attacking the mining colony on Helios IV. Hana stood behind Admiral Taiho's command chair, watching as the massive viewscreen showed the small colony world. Already, dark ships swarmed around it like insects. They're earlier in their invasion cycle than we expected, the Admiral said. The colony still has time. All ships, battle formation Delta. Remember your training. The Alliance fleet moved forward as one. Ships that had never fought together now operated with precision, their crews having trained day and night during the journey. The Harbinger vessels detected the approaching fleet and turned to meet them. Their black, asymmetrical hulls absorbed light rather than reflected it. They moved in strange patterns, almost organic in their fluidity. First contact with Harbinger forces announced the Arcadian captain of a nearby cruiser. Weapons locked. Admiral Taiho raised his hand. Execute Plan 3. Concentrate fire on the harvester. The battle began with a coordinated strike from the Alliance's outer ships. Beams of energy struck the largest Harbinger vessel from multiple angles. Its strange shielding absorbed the first hits, but began to flicker under the sustained assault. The Harbinger scout ships moved with incredible speed, faster than any Alliance vessel, except the Defiance itself. They targeted the smaller ships, lashing out with energy tendrils that cut through standard shields. Suvani cruisers, deploy crystal barriers, ordered Admiral Taiho. Arcadian vessels, evasive pattern theta. Hana watched in amazement as the battle strategies the Admiral had developed proved effective. The Suvani ships projected crystalline energy fields that reflected the Harbinger's weapons back at them. The agile Arcadian vessels drew the scouts into a trap where coalition ships waited with specially modified weapons. One scout ship exploded in a flash of strange dark energy. The second soon followed. The harvester, seeing its escorts destroyed, attempted to retreat. "Don't let it escape," Admiral Taiho ordered. "If it returns to the main fleet with information about our capabilities, we lose our advantage." The Defiance moved forward, its advanced engines allowing it to intercept the fleeing Harbinger vessel. One precise strike from its main weapon sliced the harvester in half. The bridge crew cheered. The first engagement with humanity's future enemy had ended in victory, but Hana noticed Admiral Taiho remained solemn. "This was only their advance force," he said quietly to her. "The real test is still to come." The Alliance established a base on Helios IV, rescuing the colonists and building defenses. Over the next 3 months, they engaged Harbinger forces in 12 more systems, pushing them back from inhabited worlds. Hana's diplomatic corps worked tirelessly. As news of the Harbinger threat spread, more species sought to join the Alliance. Races that had remained neutral now sent ships and resources. Even primitive species from worlds not yet capable of space travel were evacuated from systems in the Harbinger's path. "We've integrated 32 species into the Alliance now," Hana reported during a strategy meeting. "Each brings unique perspectives and technologies." Admiral Taiho nodded approval. "In my timeline, we never achieved this level of cooperation until it was too late." As the Alliance pushed the Harbingers back, Admiral Taiho made a critical decision. He awakened the remaining human crew from the Defiance, ending their cryostasis. Though still recovering from temporal displacement, they'd brought valuable knowledge. Commander Jai Young, the Defiance's weapons specialist, shared critical insights during a briefing with Alliance captains. "The Harbinger's strength is their hive intelligence," she explained. "But it's also their weakness. Their hive intelligence can be disrupted if we target their command nodes." She displayed images of unusual structures attached to larger Harbinger vessels. These nodes coordinate their group actions. Destroy enough of them, and their forces become disorganized. With this knowledge, Alliance victories came more frequently. They pushed the Harbingers back system by system, until sensors detected a massive concentration of enemy ships near the galactic rim. "They're gathering for a counterattack," Admiral Taiho said, studying the sensor data. "But why there? There's nothing of strategic value in that sector." Commander Jai Young analyzed the readings more carefully. There's some kind of spatial anomaly at those coordinates. Energy patterns similar to what the Defiance generates during temporal jumps, but much larger. The truth dawned on Admiral Tahoe. It's their entry point, a space-time rift they're using to bring their main invasion force into our galaxy. The Alliance Council met to discuss this discovery. If the Harbingers succeeded in bringing their main fleet through the rift, the war would become unwinnable. "We must attack now," insisted Ambassador Kron, "before more of them arrive." "Agreed," said Delegate Lumi. "But how do we close such a rift?" All eyes turned to the Defiance's crew. Commander Jai Young spoke carefully. "The Defiance's temporal drive might be modified to collapse the rift, but we would need to get very close, within the Harbinger's defensive perimeter." The plan they developed was dangerous but necessary. The full Alliance fleet would engage the Harbinger forces while the Defiance, protected by the strongest ships, would approach the rift. The battle began at the edge of known space. Over 300 Alliance vessels faced more than twice that number of Harbinger ships. The void filled with energy beams, explosions, and debris as the two forces collided. On the Defiance's bridge, Hannah stood with Admiral Tahoe as the great ship pushed through the chaos toward the shimmering tear in spacetime. Through the rift, they could see strange stars and massive Harbinger vessels waiting to come through. "All power to forward shields," ordered the Admiral as enemy fire concentrated on them. "Engineering, status of the temporal weapon." "Ready, sir," came Commander Jai Young's voice. "But we need to get closer." The ship shuddered as Harbinger weapons struck their shields. Alliance vessels sacrificed themselves to clear a path, ramming enemy ships that blocked the way. Finally, the Defiance reached the optimal position. The rift loomed before them, a wound in reality itself. "Now," shouted Admiral Tahoe. The temporal weapon fired, not a beam of energy, but a wave of distortion that spread outward from the Defiance. It struck the rift, causing it to fluctuate wildly. The Harbinger ships near the rift began to break apart as conflicting time streams tore at their hulls. The rift collapsed with a silent flash of light. Where it had been, empty space remained. The Harbinger ships, cut off from their command structure, fell into disarray. The Alliance fleet pressed their advantage, destroying or capturing the remaining enemy vessels. 6 months later, Hannah stood beside Admiral Tahoe on the observation deck of the new Alliance headquarters. The station orbited a beautiful blue world that had been chosen as the unified galactic capital. Below them, ships from dozens of worlds traveled peacefully through the system. The Defiance hung in orbit nearby, now transformed into a monument and research center. Its technology was being carefully shared among all Alliance members, advancing every species equally. "We changed history," Admiral Tahoe said, looking out at the peaceful scene. "In my timeline, Earth was destroyed. The Arcadians were extinct. The Suveni were reduced to a handful of refugee ships. We saved more than humanity," he continued quietly. "We saved everything." Hannah watched as a group of children from 6 different species played in the station's garden dome below. Former enemies now grew together as allies. "No," she replied with a smile. "We did more than save the galaxy. We united it." Admiral Tahoe nodded, understanding. His ship had appeared without warning in a disputed sector, a relic from a future that would never happen now. One ship, arriving at the right moment, had changed the destiny of every living being in the galaxy. As if sensing their thoughts, the Defiance caught the light of the system's sun, its hull gleaming against the backdrop of stars. No longer a weapon of war, but a symbol of hope and unity for all species. The end.